Still have to do that. Can't check that off yet. I haven't done that. Still have to do that. I haven't done that. Can't check that off yet. Come and get it, Iggy. Can't check that off yet. Check. Check. I haven't done that. All done. I haven't done that. All done. Iggy, how about a nice, juicy loquat? Check. Still have to do that. Still have to do that. Come and get it, Iggy.
Yeah?
Is this Milo Research and Technology?
This is Chaz, Milo. Service forwarded your call to my cell. What do you want?
Are you all right?
I'm at the gym. On the treadmill. It's called multitasking.
Well, about the letter you sent to Dr. Boulay, you know, where you told him the skull was a fake, I was just wondering...
I never told him that.
Never told him what?
I told him that skull was authentic.
No, you said in the letter the skull was carved using modern instruments.
I said all the tests I ran proved the skull had been hand-carved and hand-polished. Probably took decades to make.
But the letter Dr. Boulay got said just the opposite.
Then the letter he got must not have been the letter that I wrote.
Are you saying the crystal skull is real?
Hey, I'm not saying it's magic or anything. I'm just saying it wasn't made using 19th century, 20th century, or 21st century technology.
Did you carbon date it to see how old it was?
The thing was pure quartz. No carbon in quartz. No carbon dating. Hey, look, I'm gonna hang up now. If I try to talk anymore, I'm gonna pass out.
Just one more question. Did you send that letter saying the skull was authentic to anyone else?
No, just Dr. Boulay. I heard he died recently. Good thing I billed him up front.
Yeah, well, thanks for your help.
No problem.
Did that. Can't check that off yet. Check.
Hi, Nancy.
Hey, Ned.
What's going on?
Bruno Boulay's doctor, Gilbert Buford, was apparently Bruno's best friend as well.
Think Bruno told him about the skull?
Yes, in fact, Dr. Buford told Bess that Bruno showed it to him once. But apparently he told Bruno the skull was bogus, and Bruno got a little ticked off. Never showed it to him again.
Well, when it comes to murdering someone and making it look like a heart attack, a doctor's got to be right up there when it comes to suspects.
Don't worry, I've been thinking the same thing.
So what else is going on?
I've been having Bess do some sleuthing for me.
You're kidding. I thought you said Bess was a disaster when it came to detective stuff.
I never said that. I mean, I may have said she wasn't particularly adept at snooping.
Ah, but this is not snooping. It's sleuthing.
Exactly.
So how's she doing?
You know Bess, when she puts her mind to something, there's no stopping her. She's doing awesome.
Awesome?
Okay, maybe not awesome, but she's certainly, you know...
Not totally screwing up?
Right.
That's what I figured.
In order to find that crystal skull, it looks like I'm going to have to find all of Bruno's glass eyes.
Bruno wore a glass eye?
He wore a lot of glass eyes. Not all at once, of course, but from this box I found in his study, it looks like he had at least 25.
What makes you think finding them will lead you to the skull?
Something Bruno said to Professor Hotchkiss, whom I've met before, by the way, in Wisconsin. Did I ever tell you about her?
Why does that name bring Boots to mind? Boots and cheese.
Anyway, it turns out she's an expert on the crystal skulls. So Bruno called her once, and when she asked him if he knew where the skull called the Whisperer was, he said, "The eyes have it."
He meant eyes with an E instead of an A.
Right.
Did he lose all these eyes or hide them on purpose?
I'm pretty sure he hid them on purpose.
And I thought Henry was weird.
Get this, Bruno had a pet iguana that he liked to dress up in little costumes.
Say what?
I kid you not. I found little outfits for Iggy, that's the iguana's name, Iggy, in Bruno's study. He could dress him up like a mailman, an optometrist, or a pirate.
Now I've heard everything.
No, you haven't. Iggy also hides things in the vents, and depending on what outfit he's wearing, he'll go into the vent and bring out different stuff.
You have got to be joking.
Like, I dressed him up as an optometrist, and he brought me out a glass eye.
Poor Henry. If weirdness is genetic, he doesn't stand a chance.
I'm pretty sure a letter caused Bruno Bollet to have that heart attack.
A letter?
Apparently, Bruno and Renee had recently taken the crystal skull to a lab to see if it was authentic. The lab guy mailed Bruno a letter summarizing his test results, which showed the skull was a fake, and when Bruno read it, I think the shock was just too much for him.
So much for his being murdered.
Actually, that's not quite true. When I called the lab guy, he said that in his letter he told Bruno the skull was authentic.
You mean someone faked the letter that said the skull was a fake?
Yep, which means Bruno more or less did die at someone else's hand.
Good grief. Have you told anyone?
No, and I don't think I'm going to. For one thing, I don't want to tip my hand. For another thing, I don't want anyone thinking that skull is the real deal after all.
Which apparently it is.
The only thing those lab tests proved is that the skull is at least 300 years old. Not that it has magical powers or anything.
But still, finding it would be pretty cool.
That's it for now.
Great hearing from you. Keep it up.
I will. Talk to you soon.
You'd better. Bye.
Hello?
Hi, Bess. Listen, you busy?
Why?
I need you to do something for me.
What?
I need you to infiltrate the meeting of the Jolly Rogers crew that's about to be held at Rampart and Dumaine, which has got to be right near Zeke's. You're going to have to look around for it. Now, to get into the meeting, you'll need to put on that skeleton man costume you saw in the back room. And once you're in the meeting, you'll need to listen for the name that opens the meeting so you can tell me what it is, okay?
No.
Beth, I know you don't like to do stuff like this, but this is really, really, really important, and it'll be the last thing I ask you to do. I promise.
Oh, all right. I don't suppose it would do any good to point out that the curio shop is closed.
You'll find a way in. Oh, and if anyone at the meeting asks, the password is Scuttled Bones.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
That's the spirit.
Did that. Done. Can't check that off yet. Done. Can't check that off yet.
What's the password?
Password? Right. Let's see. Scuttled boat.
Forget it.
Did that.
What's the password?
Password? Right. Let's see. Scuttled bones.
Better hurry, we're just about to start.
Welcome, my fellow Jolly Rogers.
know that
We
voice.
have several pressing matters to discuss this evening, so let us begin. As you may or may not have heard, certain city officials are attempting to deny us the right not only to gather in public places during the Mardi Gras season, but they have also seen fit to...
Shoot, I forgot to turn off my cell phone.
It seems we have an uninvited guest. Get him!
Let go! You're making a big mistake. Let go of me. Look, I'm not here to make trouble. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Can't we just talk about this? Where are you taking me? If you just let me explain.
Why, it seems our trespasser is of the female variety. Let's have a look.
That's right. You know me and I know you, Dr. Buford. And I also know that you were the one who attacked my friend over at the Bolet Mansion today. And if you don't tell me why right now, I promise you, you are going to be in one big world of hurt.
The young lady's clearly upset about something. Clarence, take over the meeting while I try to find out why she's making all these crazy accusations.
They're not crazy and you know it!
I will tell you everything, Miss Marvin, in private.
And he did. He told me everything, Nancy. I bluffed him into confessing. You would have been so proud of me. Oh, and before I forget, the name they chanted at the start of the meeting was Jean Lafitte.
Jean Lafitte. Great. Now, what did Dr. Buford tell you?
Okay. First off, he said that with his dying breath, Bruno Bolet directed him to steal the painting of Henry's parents and lock it up in Henry's parents' crypt. Bruno seemed to think that way Henry would wind up with the crystal skull instead of somebody else. So Dr. Buford dressed up in his skeleton man costume, stole the canvas, and hid it in the crypt like Bruno asked.
That must have been when Renee saw Mr. Death.
But then, Dr. Buford had second thoughts and decided to heck with Henry. He wanted that crystal skull for himself. So this afternoon, he dressed up in his skeleton man costume again and snuck into Henry's house so he could get the key from that mini cemetery and retrieve the painting he'd left in that crypt, knowing the painting would somehow lead him to the skull.
Only I walked in on him and ruined everything.
Right. And now that we're onto him, he says he no longer wants the skull. He's embarrassed that he allowed his superstitious side to get the best of him and says whoever finds the skull is welcome to it. At least that's what Dr. Buford said. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, what?
I told him you were looking for the skull.
That's all right.
Actually, I told him you were on the verge of finding it.
Why would you tell him that?
I don't know. I got carried away. So if he lied to me, and he really does still want the skull, then he might come after you. He left right after we talked, and I don't think he went back into that meeting. What if he's on his way over there?
Don't worry, I'll be fine. Why don't you just... Whoa, that bolt of lightning was huge. Anyway, why don't you just go relax, and I'll be back at the hotel before you know it, okay? Bess? Hello? Bess, you there? Nope, she sure isn't.